The following program is sponsored by the Today's Home Remodeler television network.
Welcome to Today's Home Remodeler. I'm Stuart Keith, and on today's show, we'll learn the role of the operating engineers in the building process. We'll begin by meeting with Terry McGowan, the business manager from Operating Engineers Local 139, as he walks us through this incredible construction project and showcases some of the heavy equipment being used on the job. Next, we'll head to the top of our construction site and see firsthand what it's like to be up in a tower crane. And finally, we'll check out some of the other jobs being performed by operating engineers, including controlling a concrete pour, drilling new micropilings, and of course, driving some heavy equipment. So we have a lot to cover today, and we'll get started after these messages. Like most kids growing up, I've always been fascinated with cranes and other heavy equipment. Oftentimes wondering what it would be like to operate a giant crane and lift some iron for the iron workers. Or drive one of those big excavators and haul a load of gravel. And what if I could sit up in a tower crane way above a job site? What would that be like? Well, on today's show, we have a special opportunity to see what operating engineers do and learn firsthand about their role in a major construction project. So let's get started with Terry McGowan from Operating Engineers Local 139. You know, every time I visit this campus, the Epic campus near Verona, Wisconsin, I'm just blown away by all the coordination that goes in between all the different trades.
It's incredible. The logistics, the scheduling, and a lot of credit has got to be given to the Wisconsin contractors that come out here and do it. But more so, of course, I'm going to give credit to a lot of the tradespeople that work here on site.
You know, I had a chance to walk around before I caught up with you. There's over 1,000 tradespeople working out here on any given day.
This has provided wonderful jobs and wonderful opportunities for a lot of people. There are people that have served their entire apprenticeship on this job site. When they get out of here, they're going to be a better tradesperson for it. They're going to be able to make a living throughout their entire career because of what they did here at the Epic site.
Yeah, and what, it started 10, 11 years ago, and the future looks bright. It's going to continue on.
It looks bright, and I know for the operating engineers, as well as the rest of the trades, we've got a lot of people that are coming up, and this has been a wonderful opportunity in an otherwise very struggling economy.
And you know, on today's show, we want to focus in on the role of the operating engineers, and what better location than here where you have so many different pieces of equipment, including the crane right here behind me.
These are crawler cranes. These crawler cranes are able to go from one side of this deck to the other and service whatever craft needs them at whatever location needs them, as opposed to a stationary tower crane. Now you'll see they've got one on each side of this building, and they each handle their half of the deck, and they each handle their half of the tradespeople.
Oh, so that's the role of these crawler cranes, is to just move back and forth here and say the electricians or the concrete workers or mechanicals, they need their pieces of equipment or supplies, and that's the role of the operating engineers, is to lift it to them?
That's right, and just to think, the operating engineers here in the state of Wisconsin are 115 years old. Wow. Now, when you think back 115 years ago, they used to put a jib pole up on top of a building. They'd lift their heavy equipment up on top of that building, and from there they'd have to transport it to wherever the respective area was.
It makes it much more efficient nowadays, huh?
It's a big difference, too.
How many operating engineers are on this location at any given time?
On this location at any given time, we're going to have upwards of 50 operating engineers. That includes the earth movers, and we just started a wind farm on the other side of this campus, so they're going to generate their own power. They've got solar energy, they've got wind power, they've got geothermal heating on this site. It is one of the most modern sites that we've built in the state of Wisconsin today.
Well, I'm anxious to learn more about it. Can we take a little tour, get some different vantage points, and talk about it?
Take a look. right, Stu, here we are on the other side, and here's the other crawler crane that's servicing the other side of the deck. You can see he's doing the concrete work. They've got the other crane over there servicing the iron workers, and they're setting iron beams.
And so again, it shows the coordination that's required between all the trades, but especially the operating engineers, because you're here to service those people and help make it a more efficient operation.
Absolutely. Our job is to service every craft that's on this job site by whatever means mechanically possible.
So is it fair to say that virtually any big equipment, starting with skid steers on up, is the operating engineer?
Absolutely. We've got the excavators on the other side of this truck and another excavator over there. We've got the tower crane sitting over there. We've got concrete pumps over here, a skid steer over there. We've got telehandlers on this side. These are all operated by operating engineers. All the earth-moving equipment that you'll see on the other side is also operated by the operating engineers.
And you know, there's a lot of aggregate on this site. I was told when we were walking around, I said, where do you get all the aggregate? They're mining it right on site. It's the opposite.
Crushed by the operating engineers.
That's incredible. Well, you touched on the tower cranes over there.
Yes.
What's the big advantage to the tower cranes?
The tower cranes operate just within the parameters of the building. They're typically used in an area where you don't have the luxury for a crawler crane to come around. Today's buildings are actually designed by our architects to have a tower crane construct them.
So when you say, when does an operating engineer get involved, it's really at the planning stages.
Right at the beginning. We pour the concrete slab right in the middle, which we call the pad, and we construct the tower crane on top of that, and everything comes in after that.
Well, let's go take a closer look, because I'm dying to get on top of one of
you'll
those.
like this. Come on, let's go.
Stay tuned. We're heading over to the tower cranes, and we'll see what it's like to work at the top of a job site next. In our last segment, we learned about the role of operating engineers and how this trade moves materials to service the other building trades at a construction site. From excavators moving gravel for plumbers burying pipe, to a crawler crane delivering concrete to the laborers on the deck, this is the building trade that operates the heavy equipment. Now let's once again catch up with Terry McGowan and check out one of the kings of this trade, the tower crane, and see how they are used in the construction process. Wow, Terry, another beautiful view of the workscape here. And of course, we're out at the Epic campuses near Verona, Wisconsin. And as I understand it, this is phase 3 of several that are planned?
Phase 3. This is the farm campus, Stu. And as you see, the theme here is farm because obviously the buildings are styled after barns.
Oh, it's just beautiful. It's got to be a joy for the workers that ultimately work for Epic. But the pride that shines through of all the tradespeople here, over 1,000 on any given day working, it really is a joy to be here.
Over 1,000. And you'll see just on these decks alone, you'll see all the workers put in this small condensed area working together to achieve one goal, and that's to build these beautiful buildings.
Yeah, a great testament not only to the workers but to the management, the ownership at Epic. I'm glad to see a project like this moving forward. Now, earlier in the show, we touched a little bit on the cranes, especially the crawler cranes that the operating engineers are operating, some of the other equipment that's going on. I want to get into these tower cranes, though. Earlier, I had a chance to climb up on one of those. I was blown away. I wish more people had the opportunity that I had today. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, the tower cranes are really something unique, and it's a very special piece of equipment. We've got 2 younger operators up there right now. They have a very good name in our industry. They're very well trusted. There's a lot of confidence in these young people. They both came through our apprenticeship program years ago. They learned under journey workers by working up inside that cab and learning the intricacies of a tower crane. You'll notice that the entire tower crane leans forward. It's all mounted on soft iron. And as you swing that tower crane, you don't quite stop, you just go a little more.
No, I noticed that the whole thing would just sway a little bit, and I was a little worried, and they're like, no, don't worry, it's designed that way.
It's definitely a very unique feeling when you're up there, and it's something that you adapt to. There's so many variables. When you lift something off the end of that jib, you suddenly find yourself going forward, and when you've got workers that are working down on that deck below you, and you're bringing that heavy piece of equipment in, they're going to trust that you know the depth. A lot of times when a lot of guys will paint their cables so they know how many feet they're down, or they have very good depth perception. They'll be able to watch that deck, and they'll know when they're close to bringing it in by those journey workers.
And let me tell you, when you're up there You talk about depth, it's amazing. Everybody looks like a little ant down there. Yet the operator, Jeff in this case, was a master at picking it up within I swear I could put a bullseye, a softball there, 6 inches in diameter, and he could just go and lightly touch it.
And Stu, when you think that not only are you lowering that load as you come in, but your boom tip is a lot further than the load because of the swing. And when you're bringing it into that deck and those people put it right in there, that takes skill. That's nothing you're going to learn in a book. That's nothing you're going to learn by watching. That's something you learn by doing it.
It's incredible. It's a testament to the training that's offered by, in this case, the operating engineers.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we talked earlier, you said it was 80, 100, 120 feet high on the crawler cranes. How tall are these tower cranes?
Well, this one's in excess of 200 feet up. And the jib, what we call the horizontal part, goes out 250 feet.
250 feet?
250
That's almost
feet.
the length of a football field.
Well, it's certainly enough to service this deck, isn't it?
Sure. And then that one over there, it's a little bit shorter. That was the one I was up on, but what was that, about 140, 160 feet?
140 feet with the same amount of jib. And if you'll notice, they coordinate with each other, and these two have worked on a lot of projects together before. And you'll see when they go over each other, they're very careful not to catch each other's lines. When you see their jibs cross each other, they've got their lines pulled in just enough where they don't get wrapped up. And these guys, they're still young. They've got a long career ahead of them, but they've worked together enough where they can coordinate a job, and everybody on that deck has all the faith in the world in them.
And you know, one thing I noticed, it's more than just the operating on a day-to-day level, moving equipment around. They're also in charge of the maintenance.
Yes, they are. And they get up there early enough in the morning before anybody else is here on the deck, and they're up there servicing that piece of equipment so that they can run all day safely and without any breakdowns.
And you talk about lugging equipment up there. I know I was very grateful our cameraman lugged his camera up there. It's a very large, heavy camera. We just looked at each other and had to high five. It was awesome. The view, seeing the trained professionals doing it, and the coordination that goes in to operating a piece of equipment that large, yet he can drop it within a 1 foot area to pick something up.
And I'll tell you what, they've got the trust and they've got the confidence of everybody working on that deck, because a lot of those people know who those guys up in those tower cranes are.
Stick around. We'll check out some more heavy equipment and continue our tour with the operating engineers next, when we continue with today's Remodeler. So far in today's show, we've been touring with the operating engineers and learning about their role in the construction process. We saw operators running skid steers, cranes, excavators, and just about every other piece of heavy equipment used at a job site. Like the other building trades, operating engineers go through an organized apprenticeship and are trained in the operation, safety, and maintenance of heavy equipment. Now let's once again catch up with Terry McGowan from Operating Engineers Local 139 and continue our tour of this major construction project. Well, Terry, another nice vantage point to look at what the operating engineers are up to. And so far in today's show, we've been really focusing in on these impressive cranes. But as you touched on, operating engineers go all the way down to skid steers when you talk about the equipment.
Skid steers, telehandlers, we've got loaders, we've got guys down here servicing the plumbers, we've got cranes servicing the iron workers with rebar over here, we've got the excavators, the off-road hauler trucks, and we've got the concrete pump over here that services the laborers and some of the other people working on the deck.
Those are incredible to see that in action, the concrete pumping going on.
That concrete pumping is an integral part. The 4 stanchions you see out there, those 4 towers are called placement booms. Now, if there's a concrete pour that's too far for them to reach with the pump, he'll simply supply those placement booms with concrete, and the workers on the deck will guide the hoses and pour the concrete where it needs to be. The really neat part is the operator can literally stand on the deck with the crew with a small control box and operate it remotely.
That's amazing. So he can walk around and ensure exact placement. He can be right next to it.
Now, you got to keep in mind, if you don't have a skilled person on that concrete pump and something goes wrong with that concrete pump, and it can easily go wrong, you've got a lot of people sitting on that deck waiting to go to work. So it's a very important job that he's got.
Sure, from a safety standpoint, you're watching out for all the other workers, not only yourself. You want a quality end project, but safety is number one. And it's a good example of how in the trades, everybody has everybody else's back.
Absolutely. They all work together. And you can see right over here, they've got a drilling operation going on, and they're putting in what's called micropiling.
What is that, micropiling?
Well, what it is if you've got unstable soil, they take this micropiling down to either bedrock or very stable soil, and they put the footings for the building on top of that micropiling. You remember years ago, they used to put a hammer and lead on the end of a crane. That's the sound that you used to hear.
Bang, bang, bang.
That's the one. That's what they used to do. Now they're just simply putting it in with a drill on this project, and they're doing some hydroblasting as they put it in, and they're filling it up with grout. Those are all operating engineers performing that work.
Boy, you talk about a beautiful campus out here, and everything's been designed and engineered to be just the top, the cream of the crop, a real showpiece.
Yes.
I can see the value of having operating engineers on projects, and not only of this magnitude, but even smaller ones throughout our communities.
Oh, absolutely. Operating engineers are everywhere. When you go down the highway, there's over a 90% chance that the person you see on that heavy piece of equipment is an operating engineer and a member of our union and trained through our apprenticeship.
You know, you get the glamorous side up on a tower crane, but you can get down and dirty as well, and hard work, extremely hard work, but yet very talented, very expertise-driven work when you're talking about micropiling.
And the best part about all, Stu, they're all making a good living.
They're all making a good living. And again, it comes back to that training. If I'm interested in becoming an operating engineer, earlier you said it's good to learn about all the equipment. That's serious? I mean, I could get into this field and get a chance to experience all the different machinery, and then whatever tickles my fancy I could get into.
It's all there. It's all there for the choosing.
Again, camaraderie, personal relationships, it all comes down to enjoying what you're doing for a living. And you know, one of the guys here, Len, was saying it's all about attitude, and everybody on this project has the right attitude.
They've got good attitudes, and they got a good reason to have a good attitude.
Well, you know, I wish we had a whole hour to be talking here, but there's one other machine I'd like to take a closer look at, and that's that brand new red crane over there.
Well, that's Gilly over there. You'll like him. Let's go take a look. Here you are, Stu. You finally hit the big time. You're in a 100-ton Manitowoc Crane, the plastic just off the seat.
This is absolutely incredible. I've always wanted to sit up in here, and it's really a great example of the evolution of the industry. I feel like I'm looking at a video game here.
Yeah, it's all computerized today, Stu. I mean, the days of seat of your pants operating are over, long over. We're a lot more technical than what we used to be, a lot more advanced, and with that goes the safety too. And as you can see, this beautiful piece of equipment built in Manitowoc, Wisconsin is just another fine example of just one of many of the things the operating engineers do.
And it goes even deeper than the operating engineers. You think about the impact it has on our society when you say Manitowoc, Wisconsin. I mean, it's built there. It's employing people there, building equipment like this. The construction industry is an integral aspect of a vibrant society.
Absolutely. We are the people that are going to use the equipment that they build. And just think of how much heavy equipment is actually built here in the state of Wisconsin. Yeah, whether it's mining equipment, construction equipment, road building equipment, it's all here in Wisconsin.
And, you know, you mentioned safety. Again, the highly trained, highly skilled workforce, the operating engineers, whether it's on a construction site like this or on our roads and highways, that safety training is an integral aspect, isn't it?
It is. There's a lot of lives that depend on you. I want to thank you for coming out here and giving us the opportunity to show all the different phases and all the different aspects of operating engineer work, because everybody sees these cranes and everybody sees the large earth movers, but there's so much more.
And you know, that's what I've learned on today's show is, again, whether it's a project of this magnitude, it's our roads, our highways, any of our city infrastructure, and whether it's the operating engineers or any of the other trades out there, the impact it has on our communities. And it's so important for people to understand that a good, vibrant society begins with projects like these.
And I hope some of your viewers are charged up and ready to look at the skilled trades as a viable option to come out and make a good living and find a good retirement, because you know what? there's not many people get an opportunity to see this part of us.
Well, it's been enjoyable, Terry. I wish we had more time, but right now I'm going to have you step down, and I'm going to take this baby for a little ride.
Step down, Stu, I'm going to run.
Now here are some key points to help summarize today's show. The role of operating engineers is to move construction materials as needed and efficiently service the other building trades working on the job. They operate most of the heavy equipment, and they are trained in safety, operation, and maintenance. Next, if you're interested in a career as an operating engineer, contact Local 139 or check out their state-of-the-art training center located in Coloma, Wisconsin. And finally, if you're a high school teacher or student interested in the building trades, be sure to attend the upcoming Careers in Construction Day at the Alliant Energy Center, hosted by the Building Trades Council of South Central Wisconsin. Well, we're all out of time for this week's show. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you again next time on Today's Home Remodeler.
For more information about today's topic and upcoming episodes of Today's Home Remodeler, please visit these websites. The preceding program was sponsored by the Today's Home Remodeler television network.